Sam Altman says we're already sliding past AGI towards superintelligence. Demis Hassabis, the guy running Google DeepMind, says today's AI is nowhere near human-level intelligence. Both of them run the labs actually building this stuff. Both of them are technically not lying. That gap right there between basically here and nowhere near is the whole story of AGI in 2026. And it is not a small gap. One side is telling investors and the public that the most transformative technology in human history is arriving within a product cycle. The other side, running an equally serious lab, is telling the same public it is nowhere close. In the next 10 minutes, why the definition itself is broken, how we're even measuring progress, who's spending unthinkable amounts of money on this, what's still completely unsolved, and where the real forecasts actually land. Let's start with the actual problem, and it's kind of embarrassing. Nobody agrees what AGI even means. Not nobody outside the field. The actual researchers building these systems disagree, on purpose, using different definitions that all sound reasonable. That ambiguity isn't an accident. It's what lets two CEOs make completely opposite claims about the same technology without either one technically lying. Kind of glazing their own product either way, honestly. Here's why it actually matters, beyond the argument itself. McKinsey estimates AI could add $2.6 to $4.4 trillion a year to the global economy. That's roughly adding another Germany to the world every single year. But the same research says 14% of employees globally may need to change careers entirely by 2030. And this isn't the first time we've heard it's basically here. AI has had at least two prior boom and bust cycles since the 1960s, both ending in what researchers literally call an AI winter, when the promised breakthrough didn't show up on schedule and funding collapsed. So there's a real, earned skepticism baked into this conversation, even from people who work in the field every day. So the definition isn't just academic. Depending which definition wins, we're either decades from anything changing or years from everything changing. So if we can't agree on a definition, how is anyone measuring progress at all? Mostly through benchmarks. And the recent story here is genuinely wild. The other real shift is what's called test time compute. Instead of just building a bigger model, the newest systems are allowed to think for longer before answering, running multiple internal reasoning steps instead of blurting out the first guess. That single change is responsible for a huge chunk of the benchmark jumps you're about to see. It's not just a bigger brain. It's a brain that's allowed to pause and check its own work. Take GPQA-Diamond, graduate-level science questions. PhD experts recruited by OpenAI itself scored 69.7% on it. As of mid-2026, top AI models are hitting 94.1%. Then there's ARC-AGI-2, a test built specifically to resist memorization. In December 2025, top models scored 54%. By April 2026, 4 months later, 98%. And then, almost immediately, ARC-AGI-3 launched. Every single frontier model got reset to near zero. Every time we build a test hard enough to actually mean something and models start passing it, someone builds a harder one. The finish line runs away exactly as fast as we approach it, which honestly tells you something useful on its own. The fact that we keep needing new, harder tests means the old ones stopped measuring anything meaningful the moment they got solved. Progress is real. The scoreboard just keeps getting rebuilt. So who's actually racing to build this? And how much are they spending? The combined AI infrastructure spending from the biggest hyperscalers, $235 billion in 2024, $381 billion in 2025, somewhere between $660 and $690 billion in 2026 alone. Add everyone else in, globally, and 2026 becomes the first trillion-dollar year in the history of computing, over $1 trillion on infrastructure in 12 months. OpenAI's annual revenue hit roughly $20 billion in 2025, triple the year before. Sam Altman is the one who says we're already sliding past AGI. Google DeepMind is led by Demis Hassabis, who won the actual Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2024 for AlphaFold. His real take, from Davos. Notice what he's not saying there. He is not saying it already happened. He's describing a scale of impact On a timeline he still won't pin down precisely, which is a pretty different claim than we're sliding past it right now. Anthropic's revenue run rate crossed $9 billion in January 2026, up from around $1 billion just over a year earlier. That kind of growth, on top of a $1 trillion spending year, is honestly kind of bussin' for an industry that still can't agree what it's building toward. Meta and XAI are both in this race too, both burning through billions on their own frontier models, both explicitly chasing the same undefined finish line as everyone else. Nobody wants to be the lab that quietly sits this one out, so with all that money and all those benchmark wins, what's actually still broken? Hallucinations were supposed to be getting solved. They didn't get solved, they split in two. Models built for narrow, grounded tasks now hallucinate under 1% of the time. But general reasoning models on open-ended factual questions can still hallucinate 33 to 51% of the time. The core issue hasn't moved. These models can't actually recognize when they don't know something. They generate a confident, complete answer anyway. That's a pretty big L for a technology this expensive. There's also the small matter of $1 trillion a year needing to actually pay for itself. Data centers this size need power grids that don't fully exist yet, chips that are still supply constrained, and cooling systems running non-stop. None of that is solved by a better benchmark score. Add the definition problem back in, and you get the honest bottom line. Nobody actually knows, and the people closest to it disagree the most. So where do the real forecasts actually land once you strip out the marketing? Metaculus, a prediction market built specifically to track this, is a good gut check. In 2020, its community median put AGI about 50 years out. By February 2026, 25% probability by 2029, 50% probability by 2033. That's not a small update. That's the timeline compressing by decades in 6 years as the actual evidence changed. Hassabis puts it at 5 to 10 years, with roughly 50% odds within the decade. Goldman Sachs thinks AI could add 7% to global GDP. That's not AGI solved. That's just AI getting more useful steadily without anyone agreeing on the finish line. Put those numbers side by side and a pattern shows up. Every serious forecaster, prediction market, and lab CEO alike has converged on the same rough window, sometime between the late 2020s and mid-2030s. Nobody agrees on the word AGI. Almost everyone agrees on the decade. Realistically, 2026 is shaping up as the year AI reshapes entry-level knowledge work specifically, while the bigger productivity gains everyone's promising stay a few years out. And whichever definition eventually wins the argument, the spending doesn't wait for consensus. The infrastructure keeps getting built at trillion-dollar scale, whether or not anyone agrees what it's actually for yet. So, is AGI here? Depends whose definition you use, and that's not a cop-out, that's the actual honest answer in 2026. If this one got you thinking, follow the channel. The next mini-documentary comes with the same real, sourced data, no hype either direction.